Cultural and political effectiveness depends upon having and communicating a very clear idea of who are the victims and who are the villains. Only in this way can you take the moral high ground in the public conversation. When the culture and the law don't recognize marriage as between one man and one woman, children are the victims. And the villains are those who harm children, whether intentionally or unintentionally, by changing the definition of marriage and weakening it both in the culture and in the law. Children have a positive right to their mom and their dad, and their mom's and dad's relationship. This is not a purely religious issue or a purely social or civilizational issue. It's a moral issue, a matter of natural rights. While not every marriage can or does bear fruit in the procreation of children, every child has one mother and one father, and the well-being of that child depends significantly upon the relationship between his or her mother and father, which marriage, as a civil and social institution, is designed to strengthen and stabilize. If you think technology has changed anything about the rights of children, you are deluding yourself. The only thing technology has done is make it easier to violate the rights that children have upon their parents. Children have a right not to be manufactured in a lab and to not be deliberately separated from one or both of their parents through IVF and egg or sperm donation. Children are people, not widgets or products to be made in a lab or factory. They deserve to come into the world because of the love of a man and woman for each other. And anyone who sells or gives away their eggs or sperm is abandoning and scarring their resulting children for life, depriving them of a relationship with them, of knowledge of their own identity and origins. It's cruel. The essential public purpose of marriage is to attach mothers and fathers to their children and to each other for the sake of their children and their children's rights. Marriage, as a civil institution, is about children. The law should recognize it as a children-centered institution. Children and their rights are the reason why marriage is a public civil institution and not merely a religious institution, and why it should have special legal status. The law should recognize the basic facts of biology, social science, and human nature, and should protect the child's rights by protecting marriage. Legal protection of marriage is necessary because children are unable to defend and protect their own rights. And the violation of those rights and consequent harm and damage done is extremely difficult to remedy satisfactorily after the fact. Because marriage serves the very essential public purpose of procreating children and securing their positive rights, it deserves special legal status that transcends mere contract law. Marriage is more than a contract because it intends to create and care for an entirely new human being, an entirely new third party to the quote contract, who has special positive rights that depend upon the marriage relationship itself to be secured. Relationships that have no bearing on children's rights do not deserve special civil recognition and privileges. All other relationships can be and are mere contracts. Marriage should not be about self-centered adults who want recognition and approval and privileges from society and the state for their private relationships, which serve no public purpose. As a civil institution, marriage is not about the happiness or rights of adults, but the happiness and rights of children. If individuals want to formalize their private relationship and create reciprocal rights and responsibilities among themselves, they are free to do that under the law using contracts. But of course, no private individual or corporation outside of that contractual relationship should be forced by government to recognize that contractual relationship or to perform some specific action because of the existence of that private contractual relationship. Sound social science has also proven it over and over again that children suffer when their parents selfishly abandon them in various ways, or don't get married, or get divorced, or allow various things to weaken and undermine their marriages. But do we really need studies to tell us all this? This used to be common sense. The greatest gift a parent can give to their child is to love the child's other parent before, during, and after the child is born. When we denigrate the importance of marriage, a lot of other unintended negative consequences naturally result. Children get turned into commodities to be manufactured and possessed by unrelated adults, separating children from at least one true parent as a matter of routine procedure. And just like any good or property, the state becomes empowered to routinely and arbitrarily assign parentage and custody of children without any regard for biology or genetics. It has happened and will continue to happen unless we fix our culture and then our laws to recognize the natural and pivotal role of marriage for the happiness, well-being, and rights of children. Did you know that Thomas Aquinas makes pretty much the same argument as I'm making when explaining why fornication and adultery are sinful and even mortal sins? If you read what Aquinas says, it quickly becomes clear how much he appeals to human nature, to the nature of childhood, motherhood, and fatherhood, rather than appealing to God's law or scripture or divine revelation. Over and over again, he emphasizes how the harm of extramarital sexual activity is how it injures and opposes the good of the child who naturally comes into being outside the bond of marriage. Just to be very clear, as with appeals to religion or the stability of society and civilization, I think mere appeals to natural law are also unfortunately ineffective, unpersuasive, and unmoving. While talk of human nature and natural law can play a part in helping explain how and why children have positive rights upon their parents and their parents' relationship, the primary message and appeal should be to children's rights, to their own mother and father in a stable, loving relationship, not appeals to abstract philosophical concepts that mean very little to most people.